Oh, here we go. We're going to switch gears here, and here this is the replay. Let's watch together.
Right, good morning. We are on the record. This is cause number CR 29222805. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. Mr. Kohberger is in custody. He is appearing here in court with his attorneys, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Logsdon, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for the preliminary hearing status conference. So I am going to inquire of counsel. Ms. Taylor, what's the status at this time?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are going to ask the court to set preliminary hearing out into June. We would request the 3rd or 4th week of June and probably 4 or 5 days for preliminary hearing. Mr. Kohberger understands his right to a timely preliminary hearing, and he's willing to waive the timeliness to allow us time to obtain discovery in this case and be prepared.
And Mr. Thompson, are you in agreement with that?
The state has no objection to that, Your Honor. Ms. Taylor reached out to us by email yesterday with her proposal. On reflection, the state's calendar would be better in the month of July, but we will make the end of June work if that's the court's preference. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Taylor about that. I'm sorry, I know that's last minute.
That's okay. The court's calendar is going to be better towards the end of June, early July. So would that work, Ms. Taylor, for your scheduling on your other matters?
Your Honor, yes. If we take that 4th week in June, that's actually best.
Okay. So, Mr. Kohberger, I need to speak to you for a moment then. Sir, you do understand, and Ms. Taylor has represented here, that she's advised you of your right to have, or fully discussed with you the right that you have, which is to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of the date that you initially appeared before this court. As you recall, when I advised you of your rights, that hearing is a probable cause hearing where the state has to establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. If you waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing, it does not mean that you're giving up your right to have a preliminary hearing. It simply means that you would not be able to come back and challenge that the state did not present probable cause within 14 days. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with Ms. Taylor about your decision to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to do so?
No.
Then I will ask at this time, as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022, are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
And Ms. Taylor, do you concur with his waiver?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I will find your waiver of speedy preliminary hearing is knowing, intelligently, voluntarily entered here in open court with the assistance of counsel. We will go ahead and set the matter for preliminary hearing. Beginning Monday, June 26th at 9:00 a.m. And I will go ahead and reserve the week, so June 26th to June 30th, in the event that we need all 5 days for presentation of evidence. And just so council knows, it will begin at 9 a.m. each of those days. Is there anything further to address at this time in the case, Mr. Thompson?
Not from the state's perspective, Your Honor, no.
All right. Or Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your same no bail at this point in time, pending further proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to counsel, and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, there it is. Bryan Kohberger making his second court appearance since his arrest for the 4 brutal homicides of University of Idaho students. He didn't look back at any moment. I was looking to see if he'd look back into the gallery. Did not do that. He did in his very first, actually this is his 3rd appearance. This is his 2nd in Idaho. He appeared in Pennsylvania the first time. And during that first one, he did look around and found mom and dad. Now he knows that there are other mom and dads in the back of that courtroom, and he did not want to acknowledge or even look back in that direction. Did notice a little, maybe some cuts on his face that weren't there. Corey Pegues and Philip Dubé, both still with us. Anything stand out to you from the defendant or the proceedings that maybe wasn't expected? Corey, to you first.
I noticed the cuts on his face, like you said. I noticed his confidence, his walk-in, very confident, speaking to the judge, confident voice. This guy is very confident, and his ability to, I guess, bamboozle the criminal justice system and believing that he was not the killer.
Philip?
Well, I got to tell you, based on my years of experience, the grooming and hygiene products that they give you in the jail are not top quality. You're not going to get those smooth Gillette razors. You're going to get cheap, dull blades. So if you want it right, let's be honest, because taxpayers are footing the bill for this stuff. So if you get nicked or cut, you're going to go into court with some little bloody lines on your face. So be it. I doubt that those were, intentionally self-inflicted. I'm sure they're just shaving cuts. So nothing really stands out. And frankly, I didn't find him all that cocky. I just found him to be direct, to the point. It was actually a very important proceeding, frankly, because in most jurisdictions, if you don't get a timely waiver of the right to a speedy preliminary hearing, the remedy is dismissal and release. And the last thing that Idaho wants is for this guy to get back out on the street, and then, certainly they can refile, but they don't want to have to go through all the procedural machinations. So this was a summary proceeding. Counsel achieved what she needed, and that's more time to prepare.
All right, we'll get a break in here, and when we come back, we'll check in with our Chanley Painter. She was inside the courtroom when Bryan Kohberger made his appearance here. We'll get her take, see what else was going on that the cameras did not see. That's next. Stay with us.
If this case ever comes back, I'll try the damn thing again because Mark Jensen belongs in prison.
Mark Jensen.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of intentional homicide.
She was poisoned by him using ethylene glycol.
Set to be retried after his conviction was overturned.
He deserves a new trial. That is a fair trial.
Now a second jury will determine his fate.
And our cameras will bring you every moment.
The antifreeze murder retrial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
Where you live.
Welcome back. This morning we just watched the status hearing for suspected quadruple murderer Bryan Kohberger out of Idaho. The 28-year-old faces first-degree murder and burglary charges in connection to the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students back in November. A preliminary hearing has been set for Kohberger. We just watched that play out. It has been set for June 26th. He waived his time for a speedy preliminary hearing. We saw what we saw. But Chanley Painter, Court TV legal correspondent, it was in the courtroom. She saw much more. She could see everything and set the scene for us, if you will. Chanley, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Ted. So it was short and sweet and to the point inside the courtroom, but for the hours preceding this hearing, media and members of the public lined up at this courthouse to garner one of those seats inside, and it was a packed house. We were expecting maybe fewer people to arrive because it was expected to be a short status hearing, but that was not the case. It was a long line. And what I noticed, more members of the public this time around than last week during Kohberger's first appearance inside that courtroom. So that was also interesting. Also notable, what our cameras maybe didn't show, the gallery, the first row, is reserved for the family members of the victims in this case. There were no family members present of any of the victims. However, the attorney representing the family of Kaylee Gonsalves made an entrance and sat there on the front row to represent her family. I did speak to him afterwards. He says that he was surprised that the defense of Kohberger put off the preliminary hearing for several months, saying it's not like it's a trial, it's just a probable cause, establishing probable cause hearing. So that did surprise him. He said that he was going to leave and speak with the family, but he is going to speak to Court TV later this morning, so we'll have his complete reaction and, of course, the family's reaction later today on Court TV. But inside the courtroom, it was almost an awkward silence as we sat there and waited for the defendant to enter. He did enter. And from comparing his demeanor today to when I was in the courtroom last week for his first appearance, Ted, I noted a stark difference. He seemed a bit more, I would describe it as defeated today, maybe even lost some weight when he entered and sat down. Of course, he doesn't look back at all towards the gallery. Last week, he gave his attorney a little smile and a nod. That was not the case today. It was a different sort of Bryan Kohberger, it seemed, from inside the courtroom. He did answer still assertively to any of the questions that the judge asked him, but ultimately, in about 5 minutes, the judge scheduled this preliminary hearing, which usually is held within 14 days, but the defense waived that. And I guess it is important they chose to have a preliminary hearing because they could have just waived that altogether as well, Ted.
Right, in the theory, there are two different schools of thought there. You either want to see a few of the state's cards. A lot of them were actually made public during that with that probable cause affidavit. But then the other school of thought is let's not taint the jury pool with any more evidence. But a preliminary hearing is going to be, sounds like the judge has reserved a whole week in June, and it's there that we will really learn more about the state's case, will we not?
That's right. So we're going to have to wait a while. Again, June 26, 11 a.m. Eastern time it will start each day, and it's scheduled for 5 days. And you're correct. A preliminary hearing is much like a mini trial. The prosecution will be expected to put on witnesses to establish that it is more likely than not that Bryan Kohberger, the defendant, is the person responsible for committing these heinous felonies. So they have to prove that a felony was committed, and that is more likely than not that Bryan Kohberger is the perpetrator of those offenses. Those offenses here being the highest charges in the state of Idaho. That is the first-degree premeditated murder, not one count, but 4 different counts, plus the burglary of entering the home unlawfully November 13th, allegedly. So that's probably why it's going to take several days, because there are multiple victims in this case. And as we have read in that probable cause affidavit, it wasn't just a page or two. It was 18 pages worth of evidence that's probably, as we know, Ted, not all the evidence that the prosecution has. So it may take a while to outline their case. And during this preliminary hearing, the defense is going to be able to cross-examine these witnesses. We may get an idea of what the strategy is for the defense, which may be a reason why they do want to put it off, so they can do their own investigation. They can be prepared for this preliminary hearing to give us leeway on what we may be seeing at the actual trial. But it is notable it's going to take a week. The attorneys are going to be preparing, but until then, Bryan Kohberger will be here at the Latah County Jail. He's being kept separate from all the other inmates inside this jail. No bond, again, was, I guess, confirmed by the judge today as well.
You have been on the ground there now for weeks and weeks and weeks. Since this is way before the arrest even. And you mentioned that the courtroom was packed with members of the public. What about the community at large? I know they started classes up again this week at the University of Idaho, and you've been talking to people in Pullman, Washington as well. Give us a sense of what you've seen in terms of the community reaction to the arrest and what's transpired.
Yeah, this community, as I reported for weeks on your show, on edge, while there were so many answers that were left lingering about who was responsible. Finally, an arrest came, some answers in this affidavit, and you can tell, even though there are still questions outstanding, there is a sense of relief. especially on the campus of the University of Idaho. I've been there, of course, several times after this arrest, and students started back to school yesterday. And I could tell just the weekend leading up with students moving back in, more traffic, more people. Such a stark contrast to the end of last semester after this quadruple murder, when a lot of students left early in fear, were trepidatious about coming back to school at all. Maybe they would take online classes instead. That is not the case. It seems that just looking on, that things are somewhat back to normal at that campus, but it is still a lingering issue because that home is so close, just steps from campus. I actually stopped by the Sigma Chi house, which again is maybe a couple of football fields away from where the murders happened. It's where Ethan was a member, and his fraternity brothers, again, moving in, working together to start school again. I spoke to a couple of them off camera. One told me that he was actually with Ethan and Xana the evening, hours before they were murdered, at that party, at that Sigma Chi home. And he told me that they're still, while they are relieved that an arrest has been made, the process of justice is unfolding, they still are grieving and having to go to counseling, and that's something a service the school is offering as a service for students there. They actually showed me bracelets that they wear, Ted, that say "Live like Ethan" because of his gregarious personality, and so they are living out that motto and memorializing him, and as well as Xana, because she was so close there too.
Heartbreaking for that community, but especially for those that knew the victims. Right quickly before we let you go, we saw some cuts on his face. I don't know if you could pick that up from where you were in the courtroom. Did you notice that? And we just saw the right side of his face because of his profile. Anything? What were your observations?
I did know, I was sitting inside the courtroom, and I noticed, first of all, his demeanor, body language different from last week. So I actually grabbed my glasses and put them on to see if I could see more of what maybe it was. And I know our cameras could zoom in. So you saying that is kind of confirming to me what I was seeing in the courtroom. Who knows what has happened in the county jail, but what we do know, he's being kept separate from the other inmates. He still can have visitors. He still can make phone calls and receive letters. We know that the sheriff told us last week they're accommodating any of his special food type of request, but who knows what that is. That is interesting, and you're just kind of confirming to me now what I was sensing inside the courtroom.
Yeah, Philip DeBay believes that they slipped in the old rusty razor in the clink there. It's probably just a shaving cut. Chanley Painter, thank you as always. She'll be with us throughout the day here on Court TV.